Hi everyone, it's me, Ella, and welcome back to my channel. If you've seen any of my previous two videos, you will know that I've just recently come back from London. I went to see the May 6th sing-along with the new Queens, and also whilst we were down there, we managed to squeeze in a rather impromptu little visit to Great Gatsby. My previous Theatregoing Overview was for the 6th sing-along with the new Queens, and today we are going to be doing the one for the rather unexpected little trip that was Great Gatsby. Before we start this Theatregoing Overview, I would just like to open by saying that Great Gatsby was not planned at all as part of this trip. We were literally only supposed to be down there for the 6th sing-along, see that, and then come home the next day. That was it. However, I will explain right this minute what happened. So, this is going to be an interesting little story time, isn't it? Well, to set the scene for you, it is Sunday the 4th of May, about 11 o'clock in the morning, and I have just left the house to catch the bus to go to the train station. It is while we are waiting for said bus on this lovely Sunday morning when I am suddenly told, "Oh, we're staying the extra night now and coming back on the Tuesday instead." The bus turns up and the train gets us into London at about 2:20. We then decide to go to a nearby Tesco to buy some drinks and snacks for the room. We've got all the stuff and we're standing outside the front of the shop when my mum says to me, "Why don't we see if anything's open on the Monday?" "Well, there's only about 3 of them open," I said. "Back to the Future, Devil Wears Prada or Moulin Rouge, that's your lot." "Oh, well, why don't we see if Gatsby's open?" my mum suggested. "Oh, well, that'd be a lovely idea," I said, "but I don't even know if it's open." So we thought nothing of it and left it at that, and got all our stuff ready to go to 6 that evening for the May sing-along. If you would like to know how I got on at 6, plus my thoughts on the brand new Queens, you can see my vlog of the trip and also my May sing-along Theatregoing Overview that I have recently posted. The next day I have a look to see if I can find out whether Gatsby do Monday performances, and it comes up with yes, they do have Monday performances, 7 o'clock start. So the plan was for us to go and do this other thing that was happening in London first thing in the morning, and if we weren't too far away from the Coliseum, we were going to have a walk up there and inquire with them about the seats face to face afterwards. Once we'd finished doing what it was that we were doing, we found ourselves within the vicinity of Trafalgar Square, which just so happened to be quite nearby to where the Coliseum is. We got to the Coliseum only to find, guess what? It's all locked up. The doors are all closed and you can't get in. "Oh, well, look, there's a Premier Inn over the road here, right next door to where the Theatre Cafe used to be, so we'll go and have something to drink in there, and in the meantime, we will email the box office to ask whether they have seats for that evening's performance," we thought. And also, whilst we were in said Premier Inn, we thought to ourselves, right, well, if this Gatsby business were to fall flat on its face and they have no spare seats, what are we doing? So we had a little brainstorm amongst ourselves of possible things that we could do should Gatsby fail us and not have any spare seats. Anyway, we came up with something and we thought, right, well, if they've got spare seats, we will obviously take them and go to the show. If not, this is plan B. Anyway, it wasn't until several hours later when we were back in the room, bearing in mind this is about 5 o'clock-ish, where we have a phone call, don't we? And it just so happens to be the Coliseum. And they tell us, yes, they do have spare seats for that evening's performance. So we booked the seats there and then, and that, everybody, is how we ended up going to Gatsby rather unexpectedly for the evening. We arrived at the Coliseum at about 7:15ish, and I decided to go straight for the merchandise. The Coliseum has a separate little shop area as opposed to a merch stand, and I bought this t-shirt that I am wearing and also the Great Gatsby programme. While I was in there, I also noticed that they had a lovely little black handbag with silver sparkles on it. This was not part of the Great Gatsby merch at all. It was just a lovely little additional purchase that I picked up during the interval. After the little shopping spree, we then went to the seats ready for the performance, and the show was unfortunately delayed by 5 minutes as they had some sound issues and had to reboot the sound system, which took them about 5 minutes to do. However, the show was absolutely brilliant, and now let's get into the performances in more detail. Okay, where can we start? The cast of Great Gatsby includes many familiar faces from the world of musical theatre, most of which I have seen in shows before, and others I do know of but haven't had the chance to see perform until now. So what I have done to try and make it easier on myself is I have gone and split everybody into two different categories. Quite simply, people who I have seen before and people who I haven't seen before. What I would like to do is talk about those who I haven't seen before first, as that is the shorter list, and then talk about those who I have seen before next. We have quite a few people to get through, especially those who I have seen before, so let's jump into it and work our way through this list of names. Starting off with the people who I have not seen before then, I would first like to talk about Jamie Moscato and Frances Mally McCann. Now, there is a reason why I've decided to talk about these two together, because they have both been in Heathers, albeit in separate casts. Jamie Moscato was the original JD, and Frances Mally McCann played Heather McNamara. In Great Gatsby, Jamie Moscato plays Jay Gatsby, and Frances Mally McCann plays Daisy Buchanan. With Jamie, even though I have not seen him perform in anything before, I was still able to recognise his voice, as I have listened to the original cast recording for Heathers quite a lot. But what I really liked was how he was able to put a clear differentiation between Jay Gatsby and JD, because what I picked up on, which was delivered very clearly throughout Jamie's performance, was that Jay Gatsby would literally do anything for Daisy, and I believe that Jamie delivered that particular character quality really well. Jamie gave a brilliant performance. And with Frances, as well as playing Heather McNamara, she also played the role of Bonnie in Bonnie and Clyde. And what I picked up on with her performance in particular was the shyness of Daisy as a character, which I can clearly see is why she was seeking so much advice from Jordan Baker. I feel that the shyness of Daisy as a character was delivered really well by Frances. Both Jamie and Frances delivered their specific character qualities really well, and both of these were kept consistent throughout the entire performance. And to round off the very short list of people who I have not seen before, we have Corbin Bleu. Now, what's funny is that even though I haven't seen Corbin live on stage before, I have in fact seen his portrayal of Chad Danforth in the 2006 Disney film High School Musical. And what really shocked me about Corbin's performance in Great Gatsby is just how different the two characters of Nick Carraway and Chad Danforth seem to be. Corbin gave a brilliant performance, and it was a pleasure to be able to see him perform live on stage. And now we are going to make our way into familiar territory, as I'm going to talk about those who I have seen in shows before, starting with Joel Montague and John Owen Jones. If you've seen my most recent episode of Surprise London Trip, which was Hamilton, you will know that I unknowingly got to attend Joel Montague's final performance as King George III. Also, just quickly while we are on the topic of Surprise London Trip, I know I've been taking a break from the series, but that's because I've been on so many theatre trips recently, with 2 more coming up within the next week. Once I've got those out of the way, I will be back on it with episode 3, so do keep your eyes out for that. And as for John Owen Jones, I saw him as Phil Hollinghurst at the last performance of the Great British Bake Off musical all the way back in May 2023, and I haven't seen him perform since. Now, the only reason I've decided to talk about John and Joel together is because the characters I've seen them play before are a lot more light-hearted, whereas the characters they're playing this time in Great Gatsby do seem to have a lot more detail and depth to them. I found it was rather fascinating to see their takes on these characters, and they both gave absolutely brilliant performances. Speaking of detailed characters, this brings me nicely on to the next person who I want to talk about, which is Rachel Tucker. I've seen Rachel as Beverly Bass in Come From Away when it was at the Phoenix, and most recently, obviously before Gatsby, I saw her as Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard at the Savoy. In Great Gatsby, Rachel plays Myrtle Wilson, and I believe Myrtle to be a rather complex character, completely different to who I've seen Rachel play before. I'm not going to say too much on this one, as I don't want to give anything away, but what I will say is that Rachel certainly gave a stunning performance. She was amazing. I've been desperate to talk about this next person, which is Amber Davis. I saw her 4 times as Vivian Ward on the UK tour of Pretty Woman last year, and in Great Gatsby she plays Jordan Baker. I loved Amber's rendition of the song New Money so much that I have been listening to the original Broadway cast version of the song on repeat ever since coming home from the show. I adored Amber's portrayal of Jordan Baker, and I could still hear a little bit of Vivian Ward hanging around in there, which was brilliant. Amber was phenomenal, and she gave an amazing performance. It was wonderful to see her again. And finally, the last person who I want to talk about is John Robbins. I saw him in the title role of Figaro at the London Palladium back in February alongside Amy Atkinson as Lucia, and what really shocked me about John's performance in Great Gatsby is just how similar Tom Buchanan and Figaro are in personality. Both characters are rather dark and sinister, and John delivered this quality really well. He gave a brilliant performance, and it was great to see him again. Overall, I absolutely adored Great Gatsby. I cannot describe how it felt to see so many of my favourite stars perform together all in one show. I don't know what to say. I love the show so much, and I would love to come back and see it again. The whole cast are truly phenomenal, and the set is breathtaking. On that note, this video comes to an end, and I shall see you very soon for the next one. Bye!